Hello, my name is Keith Brick. I'm with eHealth Exchange, and we are a qualified health information network under TEFCA, the Trusted Exchange Framework and Common Agreement. QHINs are networks of networks that talk to each other under the TEF part of TEFCA using a Trusted Exchange Framework, that's the technology, and we support that with a set of policies that's called the Common Agreement, adopted at the federal level and signed by individual participants, HIEs, federal agencies, patients, providers, public health, and payers can all share data about the continuity of care that they receive. Today, our participants can talk to each other and enable access to TEFCA and care quality as optional connectivity options, extending the network, extending their reach. Our patient today is Peggy Browerly. She's a 65-year-old retired factory worker who's been exposed to polychlorinated biphenyls, or PCBs. Unfortunately, we know that long-term exposure to PCBs can increase your risk for certain types of cancer. So she's going to go to her doctor. She has a COVID test today, and she's going to mention that she has found a lump that she's concerned about. In order for this all to work, we need to build a seamless connection between the clinical settings where Peggy will receive care, the imaging centers where she will go out and have her imaging performed, and ultimately the public health department that's responsible for making sure that Peggy gets the care that she needs and aggregating that data to report it up to the CDC. In her initial encounter, she's going to talk to her doctor about her occupation. She's going to mention that lump, and her doctor's going to order a mammogram with ultrasound. The imaging center is going to collect those images and bring them to a clinical data repository where they're available both to the public health department and to the clinicians who are supporting her care. Her positive COVID test result, we're going to demonstrate today, generating an electronic case report that flows through TEFCA. It'll be documented in Epic, sent through the Epic Nexus QHIN to our QHIN, and ultimately delivered to the California Department of Public Health. Over the course of Peggy's journey, she's going to receive clinical care from her oncologist, the pathology lab that will diagnose her cancer, and together they're going to submit cancer summary and the electronic cancer protocol report to the Department of Public Health. These little slices of information are part of the mandatory reporting in California, but they provide narrow views of Peggy's clinical care. They won't include things like her PET CT, her CBC, metabolic panel, and it doesn't necessarily include all the details about the pre-surgical or ongoing chemotherapy that Peggy receives. So we're going to use TEFCA to solve that problem. Today, the mandatory reporting is that electronic case report and those smaller pathology reports that are coming across. The California Department of Public Health is going to use FHIR to request the additional information about Peggy's diagnostic imaging, about the ongoing care that she receives after her initial surgery, and ultimately be able to build that full picture of the care that she's received over the course of her life. I'm going to hand you off to Charlotte from Epic.
Hello, I'm Charlotte and I'm with Epic. I will be walking us through Peggy's various clinical visits today and working through triggering out all of the documentation through TEFCA to the appropriate endpoint. So as we mentioned, Peggy is going to come in for this initial encounter and does have a COVID-19 positive diagnosis. I'm also going to order the diagnostic mammogram and the ultrasound for Peggy. Once those images are captured, they will be made available through the imaging center. Peggy is going to come back after the imaging is done, and now as the pathologist, I'm going to go through and document all of the diagnostic information, including the triple-negative breast cancer diagnosis. On the right-hand side here, we also have a synoptic report, which California will require. So this is a College of American Pathologists electronic cancer protocol report. Once I confirm Peggy's results, all this information will again flow through TEFCA from the Epic Nexus QHIN to eHealth. As Peggy's oncologist, I'm also going to go through and document all of the staging information for Peggy's cancer. This is just a cancer summary document, which is going to be another piece of the information that California is going to require. Once I sign this document here, that will allow it to flow through the network, again, sending it directly to the California Department of Public Health and the California Cancer Registry. I'm going to order a CBC metabolic panel, a PET CT, and the pre-surgical chemotherapy for Peggy. And consulting with the surgeon, we're also going to take a look at Peggy's images, which will be available in Bridgehead through a Smart on Fire launch. I'm gonna go ahead and hand you on over to Bridgehead.
Hi, I'm Tim Kaczynski with Bridgehead Software. Bridgehead is a FHIR-enabled clinical data repository that can capture all the data for Peggy's treatment and make it available via FHIR. You just recently saw that the images were launched from our repository to Epic using a FHIR Smart on Fire launch. We have all the images in our repository, so the surgeon and the oncologist can go through the PET CT, for example, that was ordered, and they determine that the cancer has not metastasized. They can also go in our system and check other information, such as, in this case, we have a baseline mammogram that, when it comes up, you'll see that it denotes a mass that was in there that was previously determined to be benign. They can also check an ultrasound of the breast report. This is a report with the ultrasound. The CBCs that were ordered are also in here, and these are stored as discrete data in us so that the individual values can be retrieved using a FHIR query. Other reports, like a pathology report for the resection, and then the left breast biopsy, if you'll notice, there's a little FHIR symbol up here. That means that it's not actually in our repository. We're actually querying that from Epic using FHIR. And so if there's changes to the biopsy report in Epic, we will automatically pick those up from Epic when we query the information. And then finally, we also can show documents. In this case, it's a PDF containing the pathology images. So now at the next point, we'll hand off to the Cancer Registry.
Good morning. My name is George Curtis. I'm with the California Cancer Registry. As Peggy has made her progress in her treatment for her cancer, in the state of California, there are some legal requirements where facilities that are treating or diagnosing cancer are required to send us reports electronically. So what that means is throughout her continuation of care, we're receiving multiple types of reports regarding her diagnoses and her treatment plans. Within every type of report, there are specific data elements that we at the Cancer Registry collect, and they are typical to what we would find in a population-based registry: race, ethnicity, date of birth for the individual diagnosed with cancer. What we're trying to demonstrate today is the ability to query the QHIN to get additional information that is not usually available to us on the standard-based reports, because a pathologist will not necessarily know all of the information that would be available to the health record, right? And the way that the current process works, that information is not sent to the Cancer Registry because it's not easy for us to actually get to. So in this workflow, leveraging TEFCA and QHINs, we can actually search for this patient. If I can get it to work today, where we're sending the request to the QHIN, to the network, to see, has anyone seen this patient in this network? Right, and the response we're expecting to get is anyone in the QHIN at all the facilities that are members of this QHIN telling us, yes, we do have information, here is what's available in the QHIN. As you can tell, these are different types of data sources, right, from Bridgehead. This is the observations from the imaging. And here is the report that is telling us that this patient has been found, and we can get the information. And I broke it again. So I can fix it this time now. So I'm pulling in this information from the International Patient Summary, which gives us the industry and occupation, which isn't usually found in pathology reports that we get electronically from pathologists or the oncologist. So here we're able to confirm that the industry exposure that was discussed earlier does provide information that says the exposure that she experienced would more likely than not be the cause for her breast cancer diagnosis. Now, what's interesting about this is that we can now start collecting this in a population-based registry and start providing a more complete picture of exposure and industry capacities and how that could be related to cancers and diagnoses, right? So in California, we aggregate this data, and most of the states in the country also send this data to the CDC. One of the things that I'd like to point out is that this is the most recent data set that's available, and this is showing the top 10 cancers in the United States. This is the most up-to-date information, and as you can tell, the most up-to-date is already 4 years behind. By leveraging this platform and these technologies, we hope to reduce the amount of time that it takes for us to compile a research-ready data set from the current time, which is 2 years, to near real time. And if we are able to accomplish that, we will greatly improve treatment, outcomes, and even preventive measures, right? So what we're trying to show here is the current workflow as it exists, how it could be in the future, and how leveraging these technologies and these standards can greatly improve cancer treatment. And that concludes our portion of the demonstration.